Welcome back to the Money Hill, your #1 Call of Duty podcast with a betting focus, taking you through all the matches and majors of the 2022 CDL season. My name, of course, is Scoots. We just had Major 3 in Toronto. It was an epic event, honestly, apparently across the board. Everybody loved the reception in Toronto as well as the venue.
Great country.
With Nikita and Chris
great country,
again.
Great city.
I was going to ask how you're doing, but I know you love Toronto. I know you love Canada as well.
Love them both.
Shout out our Canadian boys in the Discord as
Absolutely.
well. But unfortunately, Toronto Ultra couldn't come away with it. Nikki, how are you doing?
Doing great. It was a really exciting major. As I said in the last podcast, I've been a sneaky Surge fan. I'm not going to pretend like I said it. I was like, are they getting better? I don't want to believe. And, it happened.
You had your chance.
It's awesome.
You had your chance to wager on them.
It was great. It was really, really good.
Let's hit the big overarching topic here, which is that Seattle Surge won a fucking major before Octane did.
Oof.
And that's actually crazy to think about. But
teamwork wins championships,
overwhelming
baby.
theme,
Teamwork wins championships.
Having two absolutely
the overwhelming theme,
broken players wins championships, and actually all three of them.
Yeah, I mean,
Mac
having
was playing great as well, like enabling the two of them.
Yeah, Sib has had disgusting series pretty much all year for the Surge, and then Pred shows up and wins an MVP for a major. It's pretty hard to lose that, honestly. The overarching thing for me though that I've noticed a lot of recently, and it has to do with like success at LAN events and things along those lines, but it's all coming down to search and destroy, because I think there's so much variability in like Vanguard respawns that the teams that get hot, i.e. Ultra, who I think won 10 straight search maps, Faze played mediocre search, but they dominated their respawns pretty much across the board this weekend. And then Surge, I don't think they dropped a ton of them, but like they were very consistent in the way they were playing it. And even the ones they lost were like round 11 losses. So like S&D is such an integral game mode at this point, and teams are learning just how to play it to a point where you are not taking one-on-ones. Like you're always going to be shooting at two players. It's just
you
like,
say that, but
that's where success
how
is
many
found.
times did we see the Surge 1v3? Like there were like, it wasn't even, I can't even name one clip because there's so many of them for different players where they were just wiping out the other team, like 1v2, 1v3. That was I think part of just the momentum. I wonder if they were sponsored by Dr. Disrespect. Speed, violence, momentum, right there. It's the tagline.
I mean, dude, listen, you can play all the clean S&D that you want, but I guess at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to those momentum swinging clutches. Like it just comes down to who wants it.
No,
more.
it doesn't.
And
don't fucking say that
major,
stupid
you're gonna win
shit.
your 1-on-3s. It does. It does. That's where 1-on-3s are won. If you can, I mean, there are just some disgusting reads that you'll see. Like even Scump in the, I think, London series with the 1v4 to start that map off was like disgusting timing. And then he just knows that there's going to be two people in warehouse, knows the other guy's playing docks, reads all three players and just picks up like
I'm glad you brought up the like
probably.
overrated team that we called out before this major.
Yep.
OpTic, like you don't have the light on in the background, so Fairweather fan, they drop out, the light's not on, and I can tell, like you're a Fairweather fan, and that's okay. You're just a bandwagon.
Here's the
and
the point of contact here on OpTic Texas currently, and not to be an absolute OpTic stan, OpTic maxi, but you got to remember they are playing with a substitute. It's a guy that hasn't played professional players on LAN at all in his career. Pretty much only challengers, and honestly over the last 2 years, which I think is when his rise was happening, weren't many LAN events for challengers. Pretty much zero. So, they show up on stage. So I think the worst team that they can. That's my read. I think they go deeper here and maybe end up in that final if they have illey.
I want to hear the rest of your take though. You were saying the worst team.
No, I think the worst team that they can match up against in a major is Florida. The only thing Florida goes to majors to do, they don't give a fuck about winning. All they want to do is beat OpTic, and it's all they've done all year.
It's a clash of green. Just the That's what it is.
Well, it's crazy because you have that. You've got Florida and OpTic, and then on the other half of this, you have Seattle and Faze, who Faze can't fucking beat Seattle when it matters.
But they
Like,
can't
they
be
literally
OpTic either
can't
when
do
it
it.
matters. I think
But they could last year, and this has been true for
I
like
think this
3
is-
years. Seattle just matches up well against Faze.
going
I
back
don't
all
know
the way to
why.
the kickoff classic, when they beat them in the
No, it's going back to when Octane was still on the team and Nikki D subbed in during the major, and they sent them
I
home.
think look, to wrap up OpTic, it's not as bad as what are they, top 6? I think they came top 6. So
they're still top six with a sub who's clearly
and if they
shook
win
first
that
series.
match,
Let's be
they're top 4. So it's like it's not a terrible performance.
if they win what match?
If they beat Thieves, then
LA
they'll be top 4.
Well, we need to talk about that match.
But we'll get to that. I
we
think
Or
do
that
need to
team.
talk about that match.
I wanted to talk about the 2 teams that actually massively disappointed. Subliners and Rokkr.
Oh, I'm so into getting to this. Yeah,
I'm like,
let's talk about
what an
onliners.
you want to start with Subliners? I mean,
No,
Clayster
the
was.
loss.
We had
I
our
just
boy,
onliners for both of
Farada at the LAN event, standing right behind Clayster, talking mad shit against Doug. Great pictures coming out from him. Looked like it was awesome. But what happened to Subliners? Like, just absolute.
Wait, you know the drama with Doug's team
No, what
and
happened?
Clayster is when Clayster got dropped
yeah,
from
yeah.
Subliners and decided that he wanted to play challengers again. They dropped Clay from
Doug.
that team or
Yeah.
Censor from that team, and then he beat him on LAN. And then I think Ghosty, who he's teamed with, like stood up and he was like, "Don't ever fucking drop me again." It was like it was unbelievable shit. What happened with Subliners? My read on this is a lot of online Call of Duty. I think like you can show up all you want online and it matters just as much as placing into a major does, but once you get on LAN, it's a different animal. And I think the person that learned that the most was Kismet. He didn't look very good this weekend. He didn't look comfortable on LAN. It was a struggle
It was
across the board
Hydra
for them, and I
also.
think like a lot of that
Hydra
roster
just
as well. But
Didn't show up. I mean, I don't talk about Crimsix. That's just
I mean,
like,
Hydra, Kismet though and Crimsix were abysmal. For this
yeah.
guys.
it is tough. Like they do walk into the team that's going to win the
but
event
London-
first round and get 3-2'd in a tough series.
London
but
is.
London
I don't
is
mind losing with
This is
Sub.
where I
That's
was-
the London loss that
But I think that's the difference, right? Is I think that the Subliners didn't expect to lose, right? They kind of walked in thinking they were going to probably smoke the Surge. When they lost,
The books
Say
thought
what?
they were too. The books thought
Guess
they were
what?
too. 1.51 favorites or whatever.
we don't need to talk about how much I lost this weekend gambling on this league, which I'm happy to jump
Yeah, I was about to be like, wait, did you pretend like you?
But like I was huge on the Subliners. I think I picked them to, if I recall, which quick, short memory, bit of a cold fish. But I think I might have had Subliners being like the surprise pick to win it all. And so for them to then come in and lose to Seattle Surge, I mean, yeah, you don't know at that moment that they're going to then go in and win the entire tournament. But then I think they were just completely flustered, had completely kind of like not expected to be playing London, and then were completely caught off guard. I just think it was a bit of a disrespect.
The way London is, they should be able to beat them with their eyes closed.
This is my point. I think it was just a complete lack of disrespect, and like they just were not mentally there.
Yeah.
It's almost similar in my eyes to how OpTic would approach majors in like last year especially, where like we're expected to win this first round, and when that doesn't happen, like pretty much everything's out the window. Like you really don't know what OpTic you're gonna get the next day, and that's like a pretty tough situation to be in, because when you're expecting yourself to win and win big, honestly, it becomes a huge struggle to win.
And the
after
team,
that. And also,
the team has
then you run into
the team starts
London.
questioning calls, and the teamwork isn't there. It's
Well, you run into London, who I guess like Afro's gun was just hot that day.
Yeah.
He drops a 1-1-7
I don't
on
know.
them.
I think that's a lot of excuses.
Crimsix
I
and
think,
Kismet, though,
they
having
just
stinkers,
Ultimately,
like-
they should beat London. There's no if they lose to OpTic,
Well,
I can live with
they
that.
got fried.
But losing to London, there's nothing you can say to me that says that that's okay. And like I'm booed. Like Kismet maybe gets a pass. Young, new.
I don't give him a pass.
No?
You can't. No, 6'9" KD in a
Alright,
series
So
against London.
Kismet's
just
out
shouldn't
and
happen.
Crimsix out to me.
but
Like you kept Crimsix
I mean, my explanation of this
over
is
Clayster, and
AR
it's not
diff.
working.
Like,
So
but
he's
also-
got to go.
I think he legitimately got AR diffed though.
Yeah.
Like by Zero. And Zero plays a very consistent game. Zero Harry drops a 0.9, not great. But like in the Surge series, I mean, he also had an absolute stinker. And like I think Accuracy just played consistent Call of Duty. He still dropped like a 0.86, but Max there to pick up his trades, and like Crimsix is doing nothing for their team.
If you
like,
go to the very
it's
first
just,
match against between Subliners in London, you get 100 piece put on you. You lose 250 to 135. Like that's just like not even showing up. Like there's no world where the Subliners should be getting blown out that much in a game one. Finally, they kind of wake up, 6-5 game two, then they win 0-3 in the control. But then again, like another hard point, 250 to 192. It's not as bad, but just disappointment across the board. But you can't. There's no world where Subliners lose 135 to 250 in a game one. That's just, to me, it's mental. I'm kind of bored of talking about these idiots. Like they break my heart. There's many other teams I'd rather discuss.
Well, I mean,
I would love to say that my
pick
pick to win
the
it
one
all,
that I told you was going to happen.
Win it all, Rokkr did better, but they did. They got through
I
to the
told
next
you
round.
exactly what was going to happen. I told you.
We were ready for
Dash
to have a piece of the pie.
I said it.
Pie.
No. I said it all stage. I said they're going to go 5-0, and then they're going to bomb out of the major.
You did say that.
In 2.
But then you also said they're going to win what, the major itself, like the grand final.
Next one.
No, they win 4. They win 4. They win 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
they will win
the next.
So
one.
they lose to Thieves, who I think were playing good. So I give them a pass on that one. They smash Breach, which is what Subliners should have done to London. That makes sense. And then they just get destroyed by Ultra.
By the way, let's not completely sleep on. I think the 3-0 against Breach is respectable. Like
it is a respectable 3-0, but Breach are also kind of shit right now.
They are absolutely.
So there is that to just throw on the pile.
But my beloved Ultra. Let's not sleep on the Ultra having a fucking hell of a series as well.
Well, that's my point.
Hold on.
They lose 3-0 to Ultra. And then what is the point I was getting to? They lose 3-0 to Ultra.
Yeah.
And the problem is Ultra is a team with LA Thieves that we've been talking about needing a roster swap. And Ultra goes on this run, which is like deep enough to now say no, top 4, third place, to say, okay, well, we're not making a roster swap because we're good enough to get third. But I don't actually think they're good enough to win.
They are. Well, sorry. You're right.
I think it was still, my issue is that it was still like, I don't know. We can't get into Ultra yet. We'll talk about the two teams that we were saying, maybe need to make swaps or whatever. And I had LA Thieves winning it all at an unreasonable rate from the book. But, top not 4, bad. Not bad. Dude, but ROKKR, like, it's really hard to approach because you want to say this whole thing about, it's online Call of Duty, whatever. But the issue with that is that Havoc showed up. Like, he played very, very well all weekend. He was fucking frying. And then it's Standy and Priesta, who have been, I would say, like, pretty inconsistent pieces for their team almost the entire season. Like, they'll absolutely have ripper of a series, or they'll just shit the pants.
So I want to dispel that theory, though. I don't. Havoc had one good game against the Breach, but
no, Havoc had a 107, I think, in their last series as well.
No, incorrect. He had a 109 in the first series against LA Thieves.
First series,
sorry. 109. It's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But then against the Ultra, he has a 0.86.
Yeah, but they got 3-0 boom AR diff. You're just going to get gunned the entire game. Inside has a 1-4-2 against Priesta. Cammy has a 1-2-2. Like, who do you think they're shooting most of the time?
There was one player. They went in shutting one player down. They went in trying to shut one player down.
It was a lot.
Havoc was playing. He was leading the team.
Yeah. And if you do that, you're pretty much good. Like, you get your clearance and then you just stomp at that. Like, but to be fair to them, at the same time, they lose the hard point by 5. They lose the search by 2 rounds. And they lose control by 1 round.
It's one of those.
It's a little bit closer
for 3-0.
Thing.
Not all 3-0s are equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not all created equal. That's
sure.
for goddamn sure, and it's proven me. It's been proven right
sure.
several times before.
So they're
that's
not
the
as bad
point.
as like
I think
they're
that's the
better
point.
than
They were
Subliners.
not.
Like, I'm still
Oh, yeah.
excited
No
about
fucking
Rokkr.
shit.
I'm still excited about Rokkr.
Well, Subliners are done.
They have to be.
Unless they win every single match and the major, I don't think they can.
But
qualify for
Rokkr,
champs.
I'm
I
still
think it's
interested
impossible
in
at this
because
point.
I think they're either one roster swap away or they're one player tightening it up. Because this is kind of what we're saying about Surge in a way. You know, you have Pred and Sib who are stepping up, and we were saying, oh, they rely too much on those two, and it's a completely accurate point. But the thing is, the second you have Mac playing really well, accuracy enabling the others. Not everyone needs to be the superstar. And they understood these two are the superstars and we're going to let them shine. But they held their own. And to be fair, I saw accuracy get a 3-piece a couple of times, like in S&D as we were talking about, or at least 2, I think. And then he allowed Mac to trade back is the bit I'm thinking of. But that's what you need. And I think Rokkr are close to that. Because if Havoc keeps playing the way he's playing, you get one more person stepping up, doing well. I think that's enough. That's Major 4.
I don't disagree. The problem for me is that Attach is playing like some of the best Call of Duty I've seen him play. And I've watched a lot of Attach over the years. And he's like nearing probably the later stage of his career at this point. I mean, he's been in the league for however long.
So you just don't think he has
You're
it in
getting
him.
some of the best COD out of him. It's like, no, I think he has it in him. I think he wants to win more than anyone. You just need to back him up a little bit. And I think I agree that if Standy and Priesta step up in the next major, it's going to be a problem for a lot of teams. And of course, we know the theory about the Rokkr. So look forward to a Rokkr Major 4 victory.
We know where you stand.
It's going to be like a 3-2 iffy stage and then a reverse sweep first round. And then they're just going to carry
about
momentum.
reverse sweeps.
Oh, God. Where are we going?
Surge against Faze. Winners fight.
What about it? It was electric.
I don't think we've done enough job.
Also, I mean, 131 point hardpoint lead just out the fucking window. One of the greatest P1 holds that you'll see on Tuscan hardpoint all year. Insane awareness of the spawns and like everything that was going on. Knowing where people were going to come from. Like
state.
Absolute
flow
state.
state.
We have the book. Where's the fucking book? Where's the book? Oh, it's right here. Let's go, baby. Read the
Flow
fucking
state.
book.
Yeah.
Flow. It's, great book, by the way. Absolute ripper literature.
I think it's. Go ahead, Scoot.
At the same time, you're Faze with a 131 point lead, and you're Faze. Let's not forget
you have
that.
him down
like
to 4 lives on control.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that went wrong there that might not just be explained by the flow state on one side of the match.
You think someone's
at
throwing
this point,
matches?
No, nobody's throwing
So Faze
matches.
lost twice.
Well, I mean, if it was a bounty match,
They forgot to tell them they were about to win 200 grand if they won that match, and if they had reminded them, maybe they would have cared more. Maybe they would have wanted it more.
I mean, to be fair,
you look
if
at
I was betting,
if
I was betting on
if I was betting
on Faze in that match, I would be making some accusations of throwing matches. I'd want all of them fucking. I especially would want. I would need some cross examination of what just took place because I would have been losing
I don't know
my
if you guys
goddamn
saw.
mind.
I don't know if you guys saw the mid-major drama around
aBeZy?
Faze and their coaching staff and all of that. Yeah, and aBeZy.
What happened?
But Tupac's girlfriend was
Not the
streaming,
rapper,
I think,
the coach.
League at the time. Yeah, the coach. He's
I
an
know it
S&D
wasn't
coach
the
for
rapper,
Faze.
he's dead.
He's
dead.
well, I mean,
He's still
he's,
around.
we can
Yeah.
get into the conspiracies
Right.
about whether or not if he's dead or not. He might be in the DR. Who knows? But
Allegedly.
she was streaming and somebody was like going off about Tupac and like how bad Faze has been at S&D and all this stuff, and then she just rips into aBeZy. She's like, that's what happens when like aBeZy doesn't want to show up to practice and like doesn't want to scrim and doesn't want to play eights and like all of this stuff just goes in on him. And then of course they win their next S&D, like pretty decisively. But you go to map 5 against the Surge and he just has an absolute stinker. I'm pretty sure. Like it was incredible timing for like all of this stuff to happen.
Well, the whole team had an absolute
but
shit
just-
game 5 against. They lost 6-1.
They just got
They got
ruined.
pounded.
Simp did have a nice little 1-7 K to D race.
They just, I don't know. It's a big question mark here, just across the board. Like, can Faze win?
That is, I think, the biggest storyline. So here we are.
It's 3 majors now.
Here
3
we are
finals, no
sitting
dubs.
here. So this is like the most.
And
Not
every
even a 5-4
other,
too,
you know, like
5-3.
they're not losing.
And by
to
the way, if you
OpTic
go into the
each
you go
time,
into the 5-3, they go down 2-0.
Yeah.
Or was it 3-0?
Yeah.
2-0. 3-0. They go down
I think
3-0.
I think
It
they've
was
started
3-0.
down at every.
they started
like
coming back, and you
3-0.
could see the sweat on the surge. They started playing a little bit
I
like
was sweating.
it was like because
they win
I think,
control
what map was it?
2-3,
Yeah.
which is the map 6. So now they're up 4-2.
They started
They
playing a
lose
little
S&D
risky.
game
You could
7.
see them like
And
wanting
then
it.
that fucking hold on
Yeah.
map 8 for the win was like, okay. But
Well, the crazy, they are also somewhat similar to OpTic in the way they've been going through matches at majors recently, and like we saw this a lot with them last year, or not Faze but OpTic. You go into a match, they start off slow, they lose either map 1 or map 2. It's like a 1-1 series or an 0-2 like start down, and then like out of nowhere, people just start stepping on the gas. You saw it winners bracket round 1, I think,
Yep.
against Ultra. They go down 0-1, I believe, first hard point, and then they just fucking throttle. Like out of nowhere. They go down 0-2 in that control in that series. They fucking
Yep.
come back 3-2. It looked like it was the easiest fucking thing in the world. Clutch nades from like aBeZy, stuff like that on the point. Shit happens, but like I'm pretty sure they also had the timing on the flank as well. Like, where is that when you start a final? Where is that when you like need to clutch up a winners bracket match to put yourself in a good position where you can like decide maps in the final, decide what hard points are going to be played? You just
I don't
the
get it.
priority needs to be
just-
there. Like map
I
1
just
needs
don't
to be
get
the
it.
victory.
right? Like for a team, and this is what's fucking hilarious. If you look at the standings, they are clear and above in first place.
Yeah.
They have 260 points. Like heaven forbid they won one of these things, they would be through the roof. They
Yeah,
got 260
absolutely.
points. OpTic's in second with 225. Seattle Splurge is in third with 175. So like almost 100 points clear
Yeah.
of the third place team. Yet they can't win a fucking tournament.
No.
And like it's concerning. Like it's not like they're like obviously they're getting close, but like it seems like these finals are quite decisive, right? And
Yeah,
they're
it's
just, like,
the scores are 5-2. I think it's 5-2, 5-2, 5-3. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just gonna
what I'm
check
pretty
the
sure
second.
it's
I know OpTic one was 5-2. Yeah, lost to the Guerrillas 5-2, and they reached the via the upper bracket. And this is the thing: is like they are either okay. This is the thing: is I also wonder how much of it is the game and one team like the Guerrillas just coming in hot. But they are forgetting the Guerrillas loss. They in the Pro-Am they lost to OpTic. We know they just can't beat OpTic. Now they can't beat
the
Surge.
Pro-Am doesn't count either. But keep going.
Yeah, but I think it's like they lost there to OpTic. So it doesn't count like they didn't make it's not a
still can't
major
beat
major.
You can't lose to
but it
OpTic in
kind of
general
like
in that.
this is a
that
point
event.
where they are in first place in points. They've reached 3 finals, so they're making bank. But they're a second place team. And are they comfortable with that? Are they just going to say, you know what, this is not our game, and we understand that, and maybe we'll win champs, but really we're waiting for next year's card. It's just the way of things. Or does a change need to happen? Because I think Thieves and
But it's
Ultra
the-
in the same position. Thieves and Ultra, we've
Yeah,
been saying
well-
they need to make a change. Then they get top 4, 4th and 3rd place. Great performance out of them. Now, as good as this is probably the best performance we've seen out of both teams this year, this whole season. Probably. Is it enough to convince me that they can win? No. So
It's
it's like a catch-22.
just to go back for like a half second to Faze, and this is something that I said at the start of the season. We can go back and find the clip if we want to, but this is essentially a very similar game to Modern Warfare. And if you remember that season, there were a lot of Faze finals and a lot of like oh, Faze isn't going to make this final. They reverse sweep, they get into a final, things like that. But they wouldn't close out like majors or home series is what they were called at the time. Like they wouldn't win them. They would always be in the final. They would always stomp the upper bracket, and then they would not close out. Like it happened a lot. It's how ROKKR won their home series that one time. I don't know. Like I think there's a certain amount of inconsistency, but their control also goes out the window in finals. Like they're not winning control maps. Yeah. It's just very bizarre to me. And like Cold War was way more consistent. I think it lends themselves to it lends that entire roster to just being better, and they just stomp teams. But Ultra, Thieves, the topic at hand here. What is there to say? Which team do you guys want to start with? Because
they're the same to me. They both. It's like a catch-22. They did well enough to justify not making a roster swap, and to me, that is like the biggest curse you can get. Because they did.
Chris doesn't agree.
I think this Thieves team is absolute fool's gold. Like they love to give them credit, and I've said this from the beginning of the year. Octane in particular always performs better on land, right? Sure. As opposed to, I
mean, he was shredding.
Like as opposed to Prolute, who did not perform on land. Octane is the opposite. The dude fucking performs on land. So if to be fair, the grand finals is going to be on land. So like if you are LA Thieves, you're like, we don't really care about online. All we care about is the majors and the major tournaments. Like when we get on land, are we gonna have maybe a miracle run in us? I think to maybe your point, and I know this is where Scoot's gonna say is like the Ultra and Nikki. I think you kind of said the same thing, or maybe whatever. Ultra are definitely better than where they were. Like without question, Group 2, the I'm all flustered. The Minnesota Rokkr Major 2, that was the low of the low for the Ultra. They were awful.
You can't get much lower than that.
They are better than that now, but I agree. Like I don't see them winning a major. I don't see them winning anything. I think top 4 is kind of like the best that they can do as this roster is currently constructed, but like top 4 is not bad. I feel the same way about LA Thieves. Like if LA Thieves win, it's going to be just a miracle run that I just don't see it being like the way that LAG somehow did, which I'll never understand for the life of me. I don't know. I think there is something about that team that also just precludes them from actually winning something. So
LA Thieves is a better team than LA.
Correct.
It would be of similar nature, I agree, but I think it would also be way more justified.
I just literally can't those guys have how that happened.
The star power to actually make that happen. But LAG did it, so I guess like credit to them on that.
Agreed.
The thing is, like everyone's ripping on Kenny the entire like stage for being inconsistent, all this stuff. Well, that's pretty true. I mean, he shows up to land, and when they beat OpTic, he is like a near 1-4 pretty much KD against them, like absolutely frying. He had maps that were ridiculous. But
he did go
minus
very
20. You bring up a lot of stuff because Ultra. Yeah, it's the inconsistency. But they are in the 8 seed. Like you can say that they can chalk it up and be like, yeah, we can just move on to land, whatever, but they are not in a good position to do that. Like they need to win their online matches. They need to place well at the next major and secure the fact that they're going to champs. I expect LAG to probably drop out of contention at the 125 mark that they're at right now.
Yeah, but let's talk about that.
Like Ultra's in a much better spot than LA Thieves currently. Although like there is a huge bunch right
make
there.
It to the grand final, right? The last major. These are the if we went there today, these are the 4 teams that are going to be missing that grand final.
Yeah.
Rokkr, Mutineers, Subliners, and obviously Legion. Like that is probably 3 of the teams that we would think would have been in the tournament. So the fact that we now have
Legion?
No, Legion. The fact that you have London Royal Ravens sitting there still, who might be able to slide in because they had 150 points. How is you got 150 to 120? making up 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You've got 9, 10 at 110.
I'm expecting
Subliners are fucked. This tournament, they had to do well.
Yeah,
This
no,
tournament,
subliners
they're
are
fucked.
Subliners are done. We know that. Yeah.
my
is
expectation here. My expectation is that Breach and LAG drop out, and it's Rokkr.
Yeah,
and
I think so too. I
That's-
think I think Thieves,
where I put
Rokkr, Ultra, Ravens, Surge, Texas, Faze.
We're jumping around a little bit, but I do want to jump back just a couple minutes. Nikki, you had some points to make, I think, about Ultra that I do
No,
want to hear out.
it's the same point. I
probably am
kind
in
of summed it
agreement.
up. I don't think there's too much, and I'm trying to keep it succinct. Is just they have done, and we were chatting about this in our Discord, which if you want to join in, a very active COD community, CS:GO and League. Find the link in our pinned tweet at Bo3 Network. I was having some great chat with our Canadian stans who were angry almost that Ultra was doing well this tournament because they've reached such a high level, they will not make a roster swap. It doesn't make sense. How do you justify coming in third place, coming so close to the grand finals and saying like, oh, we're going to change, and you won't, but they're not going to win. There's no way. I next major, champs, wherever it is, I don't know if I can really convincingly predict them as top 4 unless the bracket really matches up again for them in the right way. But if they run into, let's say, Faze, OpTic, upper bracket, lower bracket, then they're out in something like 8th place. And I think that's the problem, is that when we really are looking at the top teams, there are questions I have around like, okay, can this Thieves team, can this Ultra team win it all by beating OpTic, who I think we still have as number 1 despite their performance.
I mean, Thieves is more likely, I would say.
And I'm like, maybe if it's an OpTic with a sub, yeah, but if it's not, yeah.
OpTic, OpTic will be different when they get illey back. That's my prediction. Like, that is a big if at this point. No, I agree with you. I think also discounting a little bit the momentum that being at home can build and having that crowd behind you instead of against you pretty much in every other city. Like, I think they were picking up a lot of that, and that's part of why they perform so well. Not to discredit the players, I think they all played pretty phenomenal COD all weekend. Cammy looked better, Bance looked better, CleanX and Insight continued to perform at pretty high levels, which they have all year. Yeah, I don't know. I agree. Like, I don't see them winning anything. I don't think they beat OpTic. I don't think they beat Faze when it matters. I think they struggle with Thieves, honestly, when it comes down to it. Like, when it's actually crunch time.
Kind of...
Even Rokkr, I would say, poses a pretty big threat. Like,
one quick fact that I find insane. There are only 4 teams who have above a 50% win percentage, right? Games won versus games lost. You can name 2 of them, Faze and OpTic. Who do you think the other 2 teams are?
Against Ultra?
No, just like across the board.
I mean, I have it open. I'm not gonna do this.
Across the board?
I've got the stats page open for standings. Yeah. Sorry. There's one that there's actually
you'll get 2.
You're not gonna be able to pick up both of these.
I said you'll get 2, but the other 2 are
Faze and OpTic.
Yeah, Faze
OpTic's
like obvious.
70%.
Well, OpTic's at almost 70%. Faze is only 61%, which is, I mean, only.
Oh, you're talking games won?
Yeah. This is why it's tough. This is why I'm trying to think of.
Not maps, games.
Not maps. He's thinking.
I was looking at
games.
maps.
Yeah. I would probably put. I don't know why I'm thinking Surge.
That's 1. 52%.
Okay.
Who's one of them?
Who's the 4th?
Who's the other? Good luck.
You know, for some reason, it's Florida's coming to mind.
Florida is not it.
Not it. Okay. I don't know.
Not
Who's
it.
the last one?
Not
Boston?
It's Rokkr.
Rokkr. Is it Rokkr? Oh, shit.
Minnesota Rokkr.
They're not even. Yeah. They're in ninth place.
Listen, I'm telling you, they're gonna make it.
Like, the thing is, you've got to show up when
they
it
will
matters.
make it. And
correct.
Listen, if Attach hasn't won by the time we hit champs, there's a
danger.
There's a problem. There's a serious problem, and they probably win it all.
But isn't that interesting
know
that
who
like
else is
every
talking
that, isn't that crazy? Only 4 teams are above 50%.
Yeah.
That was just like wild. Also, there's probably some more storylines that we want to hit before we close out this podcast. But one more storyline. How fucking hilarious is it that the last major is a New York Subliner major when they have no fucking chance of being involved?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go?
You know what?
I would consider flying out.
boys should.
Actually, I
could
could go. You want to come out? Yeah, it's
in Brooklyn. It's at
not
like
only
King's
is it
Theater.
in Brooklyn, it's also I'll be in town that weekend.
Oh yeah,
Well,
you're socialite.
I leave
Young
for Scott.
socialite.
You're lucky.
I leave
me,
for Scotland
lucky
for 2 weeks on the 19th. So
Oh, lovely.
playing
Go off.
a little golf
vacay?
trip. A little golf trip.
Playing golf. Golf trip.
But to that
Fair enough.
point, July 14th to 17th, it's in my neighborhood. So you can stay at our apartment.
Well, I have a place to
Yeah,
stay.
I was
but
like,
yeah, fair enough.
why would he stay in your
It's not in Brooklyn. It's not in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
one
He would have
subway
a
right
bed.
away.
He would have his own
just
bedroom.
like everything is in New York.
Couch.
Scoot, we should go
Yeah,
and just
like-
fucking record pods from there the entire time.
I'm gonna look up flights.
could do that.
to New York.
Nikki, you're welcome.
See
as
if I can
well.
get a cheap
Please
one.
come.
I
Yeah,
can business expenses, right? On the company card, on the best of 3
Yeah.
company card.
please.
Yeah. The card
Yeah,
that
yeah,
has no money on it.
We'll get some hoodies ready.
Because you guys aren't hitting our Patreon.
We should.
That's the
Scoot, we
problem
need to.
that we haven't set up.
Scoot,
Oh, we got it.
Scoot,
We got to
need-
get on
we
the
need
hoodies.
and you to come and we'll fucking go. Rocking BO3 swag.
Some sleeveless Johns.
It's summer too, so you can
You're
get the
so
deals
ready
out.
for that.
Let's make it happen.
I think Nikki said it best. There's not really anyone else to talk about. Like London, pretty shit. Breach, abysmal major for them.
I have nothing left to say.
Florida.
I'm done. So
Yeah, LAG like inconsistent as ever. Florida shows up to beat one team and one team only, and they probably do stack up pretty well against them.
So-
to be
so we
fair,
know-
like you get Awakening and Skies to gun Dashy.
we
when
know
they're
who's
hot. That's
we know who
gonna work
Scott's
out.
picking for Major 4, but Nikki, who do you got for Major 4?
I don't know at this point. I kind of like Rokkr. Rokkr and OpTic.
3-2 stage for Rokkr. Just get ready. 3-2 winners bracket, and then it gets ugly for the rest of the group.
I feel like it's going to be another random. Like Subliners
Yeah.
are going to do slightly better, but it won't matter. I'm kind of inclined to go back with my first love, the Toronto Ultra.
Oof.
Yeah.
Prepared to be disappointed.
You think Ultra win Major 4? That's actually
That
just
would
criminal
be-
out of you.
That'd be
After this entire conversation, just get
I
back to
know.
this point again, and now you're just
All
absolutely
right.
it would
shilling.
be quite. It'd be
You're
quite
just-
the way for them to respond and then come out to the grand final and like get 3-0 in the first round. It'd be perfect.
Maybe they hand Faze their
Yeah.
first major victory. Faze has to win
Well,
something.
so this is my
right? At some
long term
point.
pick. I think they win the finals. Like the real
Faze.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're
the
just
big one.
they're just holding out. They're like don't use our one win this year on a fucking low key major.
Yeah, fair enough. With that being said, no more teams left to talk about. It was an absolute great major. Congrats to Seattle Surge, of course. Played out of their minds Call of Duty. If you do want to join the conversation with the Best 3 Network, go follow us on Twitter at BO3 Network and join the Discord, which is in our bio now, I believe. We're pretty active there, especially when matches are happening for League, Call of Duty,
It's a good
etc. Talking about League, it's a great vibe. Great vibe on major weekends, especially, and match weekends too. You got a lot of people just chit chatting in there. Currently, just continually adding members. Talking about League though, we did have a sister podcast called The Gold Advantage, hosted by our own
This
Nikita.
guy. 2 thumbs.
Does a great job on that end. Great episodes. Can't say enough about it. And I think that's pretty much all I've got. We've got other social media, but
Subscribe,
they're on the
like,
rise slowly.
comment,
We're
please,
working
on the
it.
YouTube if you are there. It helps us out a lot. Tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your brother. Tell them all to come and like, subscribe, and support the boys.
Yeah, go get your family to try to get interested in esports.
Bond with
and
them.
See what
Bond with
happens,
them.
because mine don't listen. That's for sure. Yeah, thank you for listening to another episode of the Money Hill.
Bye,
We'll see
everyone.
you next week. Peace out.
Toodaloo.